Jenny. I'm the founder of the Virtual Sewing Room, and I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction and all-round look at what the Virtual Sewing Room is. The Virtual Sewing Room is an online, safe, relaxed space for like-minded people to chill and make together. It's there for chatting, it's there for asking advice, it's there just to listen in for background noise whilst you're making. Our regular sessions are normally about 2 hours, sometimes 3, and you can join as often as you want. What Virtual Sewing Room isn't, it's not a workshop, unless we have special events dedicated to it, but it's a bring your own project, work on it, whatever that project may be, whether it's sewing, knitting, whether you're mending, planning, tidying, whatever, textile craft, bring it along, listen in, chat, whatever. This is the space for you. I set up Virtual Sewing Room because although I live in a city of 250,000 people, I found that there weren't many places for me to go that were accessible, that were near enough or what I wanted, when I wanted. It's really difficult, and I know that there are people, obviously certain years ago we were all communicating through Zoom and other video things, and I just didn't know why anyone hadn't set this up. So I set it up through my personal account, like, hey, does anyone want to hang out online? And 7 people did, and 7 people came, and we hung out for a couple of hours, and that's where the Virtual Sewing Room is born. It's born out of this need just to connect more directly to other people in the kind of sewing and craft world, because Instagram is one thing, or Facebook, but having that company, even if it's virtual, just felt really important. Many of my friends don't sew, and if they do, it's every now and then, you know, it's not their go-to hobby, whereas it is mine. It's my passion, love being creative. So that's why I did it. And I thought, if I'm in a city of 250,000 people, surely there are people in villages and towns that also feel quite isolated from the sewing community, especially when you see that there are in-person events running across the world that people can't access. So this is a way of bringing people together from the comfort of their own crafting space. The Virtual Sewing Room has 4 core values: inclusive, respectful, connection, supportive. They're really important to me when I started setting it up because they helped ground what I wanted from a space. If I was to join a virtual space, what would I want? And it was really important for me to feel included, to know that there was support, and yeah, connection was really important to me. That's why I did it, was to have that kind of personal connection with other people in the sewing community. So these really ground everything we do, every session, whether it's a unique session or a regular session. This is at the core of what it is, and I hope that everyone kind of feels these core values coming through during a session, that you feel respected and supported. People who join aren't necessarily professional sewists. A lot of us are self-taught, but know that we're there to either morally support you, if we can point you in the right direction, if we don't have the right answers, that, yeah, we want you to succeed in your project. We've certainly helped people get buttonholes done, some good old cheerleading, as well as a session really recently where someone had a bodice that wasn't fitted very well, and I was just listening in, but 2 or 3 others were helping this particular person to get a perfect fitting bodice. And in that 2-hour session, from an oversized bodice to a well-fitted, that's what it's about helping each other succeed and really enjoy the process. So our sessions are all bookable online, and 1 hour before the session starts, or within that hour, you'll receive an email with a Zoom link. Each of our sessions have a different Zoom link. This is for security purposes, just to make sure that all things are okay on that side of things. And when you join, so within a 2-hour session, join at any point. If you're running late from work, if you've got childcare, if you've just got life going on, doesn't matter what time you turn up. But if you turn up, let's say the 7 o'clock session, if you turn up at 7, we'll wait a few minutes for people to join, say hellos, little chit chat. But then we'll work on introductions, and this is a chance for you to say who you are, where you are in the world, and what you're going to be working on for the session. And you don't have to say it, you can put it in the chat, and any host will be keeping an eye on that, and they can make you feel part of the conversation if you don't feel comfortable with your camera or your mic on. And then from there, once we've done introductions, it's a perfect place for you to ask any questions, if you need advice, if you want to pick people's brains on something, if you're looking for a particular pattern, if you've got fabric, you don't know what to do with it. This is what the session is for, asking advice, chatting to other people, and making the most of that resource whilst you have it. And you can join in as much of the conversation as you want. You don't have to. Sometimes we talk about non-sewing things, so we've talked about the Olympics, we've talked about the menopause. It's kind of endless what we talk about. That's the kind of scope of things. But there is a lot of sewing, knitting, crafty chat. We chat about in-person events if we hear about them, things like the Dressmaker's Ball, Frocktails, Sophisticated, etc. And there's a welcome space, and everything that's said within Virtual Sewing Room generally stays within Virtual Sewing Room. I like to post on Instagram afterwards with an idea of what we were talking about in those sessions, but anything that is significantly private or personal won't go on there. We've had a few personal stories, which is really nice that people are willing to share those kind of stories in this safe space, but those won't be repeated online without permission, most definitely. But I'll give a summary of generally what we talk about, like dyeing hair. We had a really nice open conversation about that a while ago, and I highlighted it as we talked about hair dyeing, but I won't go into personal stories at all. It's a very safe space. And also during the session, so we have the chat function, which is keep an eye on, or also you can use that to post links if we're talking about a particular pattern or shop or anything. You can use that to post in links or photos. We sometimes get photos of pets as well, which we always welcome pets in our sessions. And if you are running late and you pop on halfway through, we'll try and give you a little sneaky wave if the conversation's in full flow, or in the chat we'll just say hello there, and we'll try and welcome you into the conversation if you do join late. But if you've snuck in, you can just always say hello in the chat and just say you're listening in or whatever, but we'll try and make you feel welcome when you do join. And if you need to leave early, that's all right. If you've had a heck of a day, it's no problem. If you just want to sneak into bed or just get on with other stuff, and if it's just half an hour you just need that connection, that's fine. It's very relaxed and it's there what you want it to be. At the start of sessions, we have housekeeping, especially for those who are joining new, and I'm going to run through a few of those things now. So I've got my trusty notebook. So it is a relaxed space. If at any point you don't feel relaxed, do let the host know or message on Instagram. If you want to listen in, that's fine. If you're getting your head down and making stuff, that's absolutely fine. You can turn your camera on and off as much as you want, especially if you're eating, having dinner, lunch, feel free to turn it off. And same with microphones, you're welcome to just turn it off, listen in, and just unmute yourself when you want to join in the conversation. If you have a machine or there's a distracting noise in the background, someone walks in, starts chatting to you, we may mute you as hosts, just so it doesn't distract from the conversation if it's not part of that. So just be aware that you might end up talking and we've muted you. Be respectful of others and do mind your language. Swearing can be inevitable with projects. We've all been there. But if you can keep it to a minimum, because you don't know if there are little people just off camera, so just be mindful, and delicate ears as well. But we do understand that mistakes and errors happen, so codswallop. You don't have to stay the whole session. Come and go as you need to. The space is there if you want it to be. Don't feel obliged to stay right to the end, especially if you're tired, had a long day, if there are other things stressing you out, that's fine. Feel free to use the chat function. You can introduce yourself there, not a problem. You can share your Instagram if you vlog, anything, you can pop that in there. We're very supportive if you're setting up a small business or side hustle or anything. We'd like to know what people are doing. If people are coming and going, just give them a little wave if you spot them saying anything in the chat, just to make them feel like they've been heard. As hosts, we try to do that. It's a super friendly group, so if you are stuck, advice, anything, just ask, jump in the conversation. If you pop it in the chat, if there's a full flow of conversation, pop it in the chat, host will pick it up and we'll try and ask it when there's a lull in the conversation to kind of jump in and help you out. We welcome feedback, absolutely. You can drop me a message on Instagram at Virtual Sewing Room, or you can drop an email, so virtualsewingroom@gmail.com, or if you go through our Instagram, there's a link. You can find a link to an anonymous survey, so if you don't feel comfortable kind of being known for what your comment is, you can go through a Google form survey. It is anonymous. It might say that it's collecting email, but it will not be shared with me. And thank you to anyone that shared stuff on there. It's been really valuable. So whether it's positive or negative, that's there if you just want to send something back, but always open to discussions and ideas. If it does get busy in our sessions, we might do breakout rooms. To date, we've only done that once, just because we had 30 of us or something, and for a full kind of a nice conversation, like 15. And then when we start to get a bit bigger, can get quite busy. So just to know that that's there. We haven't done it often, like I say, once, but it's always a possibility that it might happen. But you will be forewarned that that might happen, and we'll make sure there's a host in each of the rooms as well, just to keep people on track. People may stay beyond the end of the session. Sometimes there's a bit of a conversation going on, but we'll let you know that the host is disappearing to go to bed, but people who want to stay on, we'll just assign someone as host in terms of Zoom so that the conversation can carry on, because otherwise if I leave I end up kicking everybody out. And I don't want to do that if there's a in-depth discussion going on, which we've had a few times, and sometimes it's only another 5 minutes, sometimes it's 15, so depending on what's happening, that might be an option. And I know in some of our daytime sessions we've gone on for another half hour just because I'm in full flow. Let's just keep it going for a bit. And then after that we do introductions. Generally once we've gone through housekeeping, it's normally a bit shorter and piffier, especially with regulars, but if there are new people we'll definitely go through it. We also ask people if they're moving the device that they're on, whether a laptop, phone, tablet, to turn off your camera when moving. Sometimes that can be an issue for some people. And if there's anything that you want to bring up to make it more inclusive for you, do let us know. So the moving the camera one was something that a participant asked about, and that's something that's part of our housekeeping, just to be aware of moving cameras can cause migraines and other issues. So yeah. So once a month we try to host a sew-along or a unique session. This will have a theme. This was an idea that came from an attendee, Shannon, to give it a go. So we're working on a similar project. So in the past, the first one we did was the Costa tote bag by Helen's Closet, and that was a really nice way to give the idea a go. We all made it. They all came out so differently, which was really lovely to see. Different ideas, we had extra things going on. Marvellous. So we've also had pants, as in underwear, as a session. A lot of laughter with that one. What else have we done? We've done a blouse, which was part of to encourage people to take part in the challenge. We've done a pyjama party recently, so making and wearing pyjamas. We'll be doing the pants session again, but as an underwear. So if you wanted to do bra or something else, that's an option. We've done a scrap busting. That will be coming back again in the future. It's very popular. Other unique sessions that we do, so once a month now, after a very popular first session, is a making for charity, just to bring together people who are doing, spending their time volunteering, making stuff for wonderful causes. So that's once a month. Dates are on the website, so that's separate from our regular sessions, and they're also free to attend. You're really given your time and resources, so it's a free session to connect with other people, and you might learn about different charities that people are making for. So whether you're knitting, sewing, quilting, whatever, you can have a chat with other people. So the pricing structure for Virtual Sewing Room, there's subscriptions, paper sessions. I did research before I launched officially as a business to find out what people would prefer, and it was basically a bit of everything. So you can have an annual subscription or a monthly subscription. They both give you unlimited regular sessions, so that's our 2-hour session slots. You pay for the sew-alongs and unique sessions separately to that. There's a free subscription, and that gets you 1 free session a month, and then any other ones you want to join would be at the paying per session, which at the moment is £5. So you can just pay per session. So if you don't know how often you're going to be because of work and life, you can pay per session. But if you know you're a frequent attender, then you've got the subscriptions. On top of that, to keep the inclusivity, because there's been some troubled times in the last few years, to make sure that people can join, we have a pay it forward scheme. So people can donate when they're booking, different amounts, and then anything from, let's say, January that people have donated and paid forward goes into a pot for February. So let's say 5 people donated, that money goes into February, and there are 5 spaces that people can use the code donate or donated, and you can use that code if you feel like you can't pay £5 for a session, if you're just struggling but you really need that company. You can use that code and get the session free that way, because someone has paid it forward for you so that you can attend. And yeah, that's an idea that's come from when we did the pants sew along. Sophie Hines, she has that for her patterns, and I felt really inspired and part of the inclusivity of Virtual Sewing Room. All our sessions have hosts, so as founder I do most of the sessions, but I have a wonderful team of volunteer hosts. We have Dee, we have Lucy, we have B, and we have Mandy. They've all come on board after being regulars, and they help extra sessions happen. They're backup if I'm ill or someone else is ill, and they're also a little bit like my trustees, so I bounce my ideas and progression on the business and how it's going with them, and they're invaluable. They understand the core values and what goes on in the sessions. They've certainly benefited themselves. So there is a post on Instagram all about them, and you can follow them on Instagram as well. If you're feeling nervous, anxious about joining, I get it. I'm a natural introvert. I find in-person socials really awkward, and it can be a horrible feeling to join a call, not know anyone, and feel like you fit in. You don't know if you will fit in, whether it's for you or not. I understand. So if you're nervous, anxious, not feeling confident, first session, you can have your camera off, you don't need to speak. That's fine. We encourage new people, like if you aren't confident, that's fine. Come and see what the vibes are, make off camera. You can use the chat function to say, hi, just listening in today. That's fine. You can always drop a message to me on Instagram or email beforehand, just say, a little bit anxious, just go and listen in. And then if it's not me hosting, I'll just let the host know, just this person might just be quiet, but that's okay. They're just listening in, get an idea of how we work, the vibes, the kind of chat that goes on. Absolutely fine. We'd rather you understand how it goes, and then if you want to carry on doing that, that's fine. We have a number of people who just listen in. You can see they do have their camera on, but they're off making, and they occasionally, very occasionally jump in, but there's definitely a handful of people that like having that company and listening to the conversation. And then there's the people that just love chatting. So if you're not sure where you might be, if you don't know anyone, absolutely fine. We are a very friendly bunch. I've never had to kick anyone out. We do stay away from political conversations as much as possible as well. So I've only had to kind of move the conversation on once or twice. So it's very, very friendly and generally upbeat conversations that go on. But any problems, I do try to check in with new people afterwards, especially if you've had your camera off, it's hard to gauge if you've had a pleasant experience, and if you haven't, these sessions aren't for everyone, and that's okay. I understand. We're probably a little bit sick of working online and cameras, so if it's not for you, that's fine. But just to let you know that we'll try and make you feel as welcome as possible, and if there's anything that we can do for you, do let us know so we can try to accommodate that. The virtual sewing room does have one major disclaimer. If you join a session, it is at your own willpower to how much money you end up spending. We are quite an enabling bunch. You find out about new patterns, new shops, about retreats, all sorts in the discussions. So if you do hear about something new or feel inspired by other people's makes, that responsibility is not on Virtual Sewing Room. I'm afraid that is on you and your ability to not spend money. I have definitely been influenced by patterns that other people have made and fabric, so that is our disclaimer. That's on you. So on the website we have some general FAQs, frequently asked questions, so I'm just going to run through what we've got on there and if there's anything else you might want to know. So how are the sessions hosted? So it's all on Zoom. You can download it on your device, makes it a bit easier. When the link comes through within the hour of the session, just click on that and it should pop up on a browser. I believe you can use it on a browser if you don't have the app downloaded. You'll be in a waiting room until the host lets you in. I know some people are keen to join early, and it might be that one of us has joined early and might let you in a bit before the start time, but don't fear if you're sat in a waiting room. It's fine, they'll let you in. If you're not very good with technology, Zoom does have really good videos and guides on how to use Zoom. The main things that you need to know is the logo for the camera, the microphone, and maybe the chat. Those are the three things you need to figure out on your device. So you can mute yourself, turn your camera on and off, and if you want to type in the chat box and communicate that way, those are the three main things. What we do during the session, sometimes if someone's showing us a nice bit of fabric or a pattern, we may spotlight you, and that means on everyone's device you'll be the main window that everyone can see. So rather than the little square, you'll come up really large on everyone's screens, whatever device they're on, and that's just so that we can coo over the pretty fabric or the pattern. We just like to see things. It's not always clear. It's always nice when you then follow someone on Instagram and it pops up there and be like, oh, that fabric's so much lovelier. It's because cameras on these devices aren't great. So anyway, Zoom, lots of help, and there are some links. If you go to the FAQs, I've linked a few key ones that might be good if you're a little bit nervous or anxious about using Zoom. Go check it out. Do you need to stay the whole session? Nope. Stay as long as you want it. If you stay for 10 minutes because you've just decided you're just too tired, that's fine. If something happens and you've got to go, that's happened to me. I had to go take my husband to hospital and I was hosting. Thankfully I had some other very experienced people there at the time, so these things happen. Do I need to have my camera on? Nope, not at all. Do I need to have my microphone on? No. I might mute you if your machine's noisy, but otherwise no, you do not have to. Do you have to join in with the chat or the conversation? No, you can just listen in if that's all you want. Don't feel like chatting, it's fine. I am not UK based. Can I attend? Of course you can, wherever you are in the world. We have people from all corners of the UK, but we have regulars from Crete, from Sweden, we've got South Africa, Malaysia, and then we've got a few across America as well. So wherever you are, you're very welcome. Go check out the map on our landing page on the website. We've got pins for where people are from. It does need updating, but you get an idea of where people are joining from. Is it free to attend? So from October 24, we launched as business. So there's different payment options, which I've already mentioned in the video. And also as first timers, you can use discount code NEWBIE, NEWBIE, to try a free session. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Pay it forward, which I've already been through, so the code is donated if you wanted to use that. I've paid for a subscription. How do I book onto a session and create an account? I've done a step-by-step guide because the website is where you do all the bookings, and you don't create an account first, you pay for a subscription. Even if it's free, you have to put in your card details, but it's fine, you won't get charged. But you pay for a subscription and then you can register for an account once you've booked your first session. So a little bit backwards, but the steps are on the FAQs. Do you need to be sewing during the session? No. We're craft inclusive, so whatever you want to be doing, whether you're sewing, quilting, knitting, unpicking, planning, tidying, putting stuff onto your spreadsheet or stash hub, whatever. I'm shy, anxious, nervous about joining. We've covered that. Just let us know. Join in how you want to join in. What is a sew along? We've covered that. I have feedback, a suggestion, or want to contact Virtual Sewing Room. We've got our email, virtualsewingroom@gmail.com. Drop a message on Instagram, or there's the anonymous Google Forms survey as well. Promise you it's anonymous. Someone sent something positive and I don't know who said it, but it was lovely. Thank you if that was you. So we had a question in on Virtual Sewing Room. I did a shout out for questions, what you want to know, how sweet and inclusive the founder is. Thanks, Anna. Another question was about my favourite patterns. I have a lot. I am susceptible to a good shirt pattern, the Jenna shirt by Closet Core. I've only made one, but I want to make more. I'm wearing the Lyra dress at the moment. I'm susceptible to florals, so if you share a floral, that's me buying it. I love the Lou box top, which you can do in woven and knit. I'm loving the Kelly skirt by Megan Nielsen at the moment as a nice basic skirt with pockets. Anything with a good pocket. Yeah. What's next for Virtual Sewing Room? Lots of exciting things. Collaboration, which is really exciting. January 2025, we're bringing back the Virtual Sewing Room Day. We did this in November 23, 3-hour sessions, spread through the day. You can join as many of the sessions as you want, but this time we have guest speakers. I've got 2 confirmed. I'm looking forward to hopefully having the 3rd, and this was based on suggested themes and people from research back in summer. So looking forward to that, and many more sessions next year. So it's a space for everyone, which is why theming stuff based on what people would like to talk and hear about. So that's a bit about the Virtual Sewing Room. I hope that's really informative for you. I didn't actually introduce what I'm working on at the moment that we do all the time in our sessions. So I'm Jenny, I'm from Southampton, and I'm working on a Kelly skirt by Megan Nielsen at the moment. So really nice basic for me. I love buttons. So yeah, I need to go and finish that now. So if you have any questions, do get in contact with me, drop a comment, whatever. But I look forward to sewing with you soon.